What's up guys, it's your favorite Kiwi coach and give me 6 months of your time and I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. So welcome back to the channel. In this particular video, we have another client before and after video, and I think this one should be very interesting for everyone out there because I know a lot of you guys have this mistake, and that is hands moving too far out towards the golf ball, club shaft really steep, early extending from there. So if this sounds like something you do, well, let's go do this thing. But before we get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is Kiwi Golf Japan. If you're too busy or you just can't make it out to our locations for lessons, then Kiwi Golf Japan is the membership site for you. With over 160 plus videos of golf instruction, Kiwi Golf Japan is everything you could possibly want to learn about your golf swing. So if you're interested in that, make sure to check out the link down below, and let's go ahead and get into this video. So like I said in the intro, this is going to be a really interesting video for a lot of you guys out there because I know you guys have a similar mistake that this client had. However, before I get into that, I do want to talk about this topic of domino effects and how you can change little things in your backswing that might have a domino effect throughout the rest of the swing, and a lot of the motions that you don't like the look of can actually start to change. But before we get to the domino effect, let's go ahead and play the before swing first, then the after swing. We'll talk about the domino effect, and then we're going to start breaking down this swing. So this is going to be the before swing. And right about here, you're going to start seeing the hands go out towards the ball. So that's the before swing right there. Let's go take a look at the after swing here. All right. So as you can see, there's a massive difference between the hand paths at position 5. That's the most obvious difference. But there's a lot of little tiny things we did in the backswing which got us that domino effect, which then in turn changed a lot of the swing. So we've talked about this in another video, but when we talk about the domino effect, there's really two main points of interest. The first main point of interest is when do you start to change the motions, right? So when just means, are you trying to change more so setup, position 2, position 3, or are you trying to change position 5, position 6, position 7? And then the other main point that you need to think about is what positions or what body parts are you trying to change, right? Are you trying to change the left side lateral bend, right? Because you're early extending. Are you trying to change the sequence of rotation? Or are you trying to change the hand path movement and then the wrist movements that control the club shaft? So in my personal opinion, I feel like the best way to use the domino effect is trying to change motions earlier on in the swing, right? So P1 through P4 typically is where I try to change most of the stuff. And then from there, I always like to focus on the hand path and wrist movements because I feel like that gives you the largest domino effect. So keeping that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at position 2 first. We're going to break down one of the main things that we focused on at position 2, and then from there we'll break down P2.5, P3, P4, and then at the very end you'll see the result of all this, which is position 5. So first thing I want to highlight at position 2 is going to be the club head position, and I think it's quite easy to see the difference between these two swings. In the before swing, the club head is very far behind the body, right? It's maybe like 3 to 4 inches behind the heel line, and let me kind of go over the reasons why I think this is an issue. Now I've talked about this in previous YouTube videos, so hopefully you guys are starting to get this concept, but it's what's called a large range of motion variable. So first off, a variable just means if you get your club head behind the hands at P2, well, it can't stay there, right? Because if you hit the golf ball with the club head in this position, you're going to swing away from the inside. You might even miss the golf ball. So what needs to happen is eventually the club head needs to move towards the hands so that it can get to a spot where you can hit the golf ball from a decent position. Now, the issue is because it's so far behind the hands, it has a large range of motion to move towards to get into the proper spot. And then on top of that, you have to move the club head towards that proper spot, but also you have to stop that movement so you don't continue to overdo it and then get out of position again. Hence, that's why it's another variable to the golf swing, and it's a large range of motion variable. So as you might expect, a large range of motion variable is very difficult to time at full speed as well as on different slopes and different shots that you're trying to hit on the course. So it's something that we typically like to take out of the swing, and that's why we have our checkpoint parameters of position 2 where the club head is a little bit outside the toe line, a lot closer to the hands. Because from this position, the club head doesn't have to move so far behind the hands to get into the proper spot at P3 and then top of the swing. All right, the next thing I want to highlight at position 2 is going to be the hand height. Now, this is something, if you watched our checkpoint webinars, you know exactly what we're about to say, but we like to see the hands right around pocket height at this position. That's a great indicator that if your club head is in the correct spot and your hands are right at pocket height, you've used the correct amount of radial deviation, or you've set the club or gained control of the club really early in the swing, which is something I love love to preach. Now, if you see the hand height at position 2 more so like the before swing where it's right around the belt buckle height or sometimes even higher than that, then that means that you haven't gained control over the club head and you've just picked your arms up to position 2. That is something that you really want to avoid because now you're going to have to get control of that club, right? You don't make a swing where the club is always below the hands. So because of that, you need to have now a large range of motion variable to get it back into spot, right? And we all know why large range of motion variables are really inconsistent, hopefully at this time. All right, moving forward to P2.5. So result of the takeaway was right around position 2.5, we're seeing that the club shaft is incredibly flat at this point. So I'm gonna draw an angle so you guys can kind of see the angle right here. So this is right around 60 degrees, which is really, really flat at this point. So at P2.5, you're gonna be flatter than the P3 position, which is typically 35 to 40 degrees, right? So P2.5, like right around 28 degrees, is a pretty good range because we want to be consistently flattening to position 3, and then from position 3 to position 4 we pretty much just maintain that to the top of the swing, and maybe there's a little bit of flattening, but there shouldn't be a large range of motion from P3 to P4. So what does this mean? Well, just like the takeaway, he still hasn't steepened the club enough to get into the correct spot, so we're going to have a large range of motion variable to get this club shaft back into the correct spot. And then all the downsides of the large range motion variable are going to come into effect. So it's gonna be difficult to control everything. Another side note is also gonna be the hand height, right? So this is another thing that's kind of typical with the P2. If the P2 is out of position, typically P2.5 will also be out of position. It's very difficult in that short of time span to get everything back into the correct spot. So as you can see, the hand height in the before is right around kind of the navel height, which is really high at this point. We wanna see the hands more so towards the belt buckle at this point because that means we've definitely gained control over the club head at this particular point. All right, moving into position 3. As we start to get to position 3, now we're starting to see in the before swing a little bit of a steepening move. So as we get to P3, the club shaft I think is still way too flat at this particular point. However, he has steepened from P2.5 to position 3, right around 10 degrees. The issue is that's not what we want to be doing at that point in the golf swing, right? We want to be flattening the club shaft. So let's go ahead and take a look at the after swing so you can kind of see what I mean. So as we get into position 3 now, we can see that he's slightly flattening the club shaft, which is more so my preference. And then as we get up to P3, he's right around 31 degrees. So he's still a little bit too steep for my liking here, but hey, he was so flat before. I'm okay with him getting on the side of a little steep at this point, because again, as long as you get to the other side in the lesson, that's really the most important part. We don't want to continue to make the same mistake. All right, now at this point in the golf swing, this is where I think a lot of the downswing issues were starting to happen. And it's really what he was doing with his hand path from position 3 to position 4. So let's go highlight the before swing first. So to do this, I'm going to go draw a point right on the butt end of the club, and I'm going to make that perpendicular to the ground as best as possible. And then from here, I'm going to take the hands up to the top of the swing, and you're going to see exactly what I mean here. So as you can see, he's moved right around 6 degrees away from the golf ball at this particular point in the golf swing, which is nowhere near as much. So what really happened was he was kind of in a pretty good P2 position with the hand position, not the hand height, but the hand position was good. P2.5 good, P3 good, and then from P3 to P4, instead of arcing off the hands, right, getting this little arc motion, he just went straight up to the sky, and this was going to get him out of position at P4, which then in turn, if he moved his hands in any type of diagonal fashion, he's pretty much screwed, right? The hands are going to be way out towards the golf ball, and that's exactly what he did, but we'll highlight that in a second. All right, now versus the after swing, if we go draw that same point and then go take a look at what the hands do now we're going to see that the hands are in a much different spot, right? So they've moved about 19 degrees away from the golf ball. So now he has that little bit of arcing motion. All right, so that's it for you guys on YouTube. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay with me for a second. I'll give you guys a little bit of a wrap up of the video. So first and foremost, you guys got to start understanding this domino effect. It's one of the most powerful things that you guys can do when you're changing your golf swing. So to review the rules, I want you to make sure that first off, you're trying to change things earlier in your golf swing as opposed to later. And then second, try to change the hand path and club shaft first before you try to change the body. Trust me, changing the body is so difficult. Every time I try to change the body motion with a client, it takes so much longer than trying to change the hand path and the club shaft. And a lot of times when you do change the hand path and club shaft, a lot of those weird body positions start to fix themselves, right? So it's kind of a no-brainer. It's something that you need to start implementing. That domino effect is super, super important. Also, when it comes to the actual mechanics of this particular client's before and after, Really, the club head position at position 2, that was a big change. So we got rid of that large range of motion variable. And then from position 3, the arcing of the hand path so we can get into the proper spot at the top of the swing was also something very important as well. But the main points here are stay away from large range motion variables and then use the domino effect. If you guys can do that, you guys will be just fine. If you're still struggling, well, check out, give me 6 months of your time. I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. Check out my Kiwi Coach 6-month program. We'd love to give you a lesson and help you out with your own golf swing. Also, check out our membership site. Sign up. It supports this channel, allows us to continue to make YouTube videos. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video.